I'd love to have a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? It's different than any other car I've ever had. It's different than what I grew up with.
I think
we gonna get into what he's saying in a second, but white man digging himself a hole here, bro. Like, he just compared your race to a Lambert. Like, come on, bro. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's not the same. It's a little late, so I gotta be a little quiet, but let's say it not too loud though. Yes, sir. What's good, YouTube, man? Welcome to my reaction channel. First thing I want to say is, bro, subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe and hit that post notification bell so you will be notified every time I post. I post once a week. I'm here to stay, and I'm on this grind type shit. Today, we're actually getting into a Jubilee video, man. I know, I'm going back to my old days, and it's a middle ground video too. This was as per requested by one of my awesome subscribers named Kora Grey. She asked me to react to, do white people experience racism? You know what I'm saying? Juicy video. It's a little long, it's 30 minutes, so sit tight, grab your popcorn, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? And stick with me, rock with me, for real. Yeah, man, that's the video that we're gonna react to. I'm not gonna talk your heads off, so I'm gonna throw the screen recording on your screen right about now, and let's get into it, man, for real. Enjoy the video.
Middle ground is a social experiment that brings humans with opposing beliefs or experiences together. These discussions may contain viewpoints that are the result of misinformation. Remember to seek out experts and to be critical of your own biases while forming an opinion. Please see the humanity in each participant, and as always, we encourage empathy.
Okay.
Two things can be true. You can have had a very hard time. Privilege is not just limited to white people, but to say white privilege doesn't exist from a historical context, to me, is respectfully absurd.
Okay. 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 All right, boom. Now, before we get into this, I'm gonna answer this question, right? Do white people experience racism? Yes. Yes, it goes both ways. Come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. I see it all the time, bro. I see it all the time. I have people close to me who are African American who don't like white people based off the color of their skin. It's racism. Like it or not. Like it or not. It's just facts, bro. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have racist people out in the world. They're always gonna be there. It's whether you choose to entertain their bullshit, you know what I'm saying, and acknowledge it and reciprocate that negative energy. Me personally, I always try to reciprocate negative energy with positive energy. You know what I'm saying? Kill them with kindness. I was taught that at a young age, but you know what I'm saying? That's what I think. Let's get into this video though.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. White people also experience racism.
Come on. I'm curious to see what these people have to say about,
I think
you know what I'm saying?
racism is definitely not a one race against the other. It goes all ways. It's not, it doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're Asian, it doesn't matter. You could experience racism no matter what color your skin is.
I think
For sure.
that people have a propensity to kind of have an aversion towards what's different from them. I've been called a cracker before. I've been told I was going to get beaten up because I was white. I would argue that on a systemic level, white people don't experience racism the same way a lot of other races experience racism.
And I agree.
But
I agree with
on an
that.
individual level, any group is capable of being racist towards another group as well.
So the argument against this position frequently is that racism is a system, not a sentiment in the United States. And I agree with that really strongly, but at the same time, I'm Jewish and racially white and have definitely experienced racism, discrimination. The paradox is that most of that racism is coming from white people or European society, white nationalism, etc. That's directed at Jews. So I'm Dane.
Okay.
And
what's up, Dane?
I'm proud of being Jewish and being connected to an ancient religion and culture, but I'm not proud to be white, I would say. White privilege, I think, is an aspect of American society. I think it exists. When I go to a job interview, I don't have to worry about my hairstyle or the way I normally speak or my name. And that's something perhaps a black person would have to worry about.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
What they got to say, man? Oh my God, what they got to fucking say?
So I just want to say that I want to validate everyone's individual experiences. I do also believe that white people experience bias, prejudice, but the reason I did not step forward is because by definition, racism is tied to power and economics.
She's changing the definition of it. We gonna get into it though. Hold on. We gonna get into it. We gonna get into it. Back into the video, bro. Back into the video.
You talked about systemic discrimination. I don't feel white people experience racism by definition and by actual concept.
What is the definition of racism and who wrote that definition?
In the late 1500s, early 1600s, there was slavery. They started bringing over slaves, but there was really no concept of classifying people in terms of race. It's just we're bringing these people over and they're slaves. What ended up happening is some of the slave owners who were white started mixing with some of the slaves. And now here you have these black people that look like the people that are owning things. So they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. The theory of race was formed to classify a group of people who would be lesser than and have less economic power. And this would be imposed against them for hundreds of years. So that has not been the white experience in this country, but it does not invalidate the things that white people experience. It's just not racism by definition. Is it prejudice? Is it bias? Is it wrong? Yes.
Mine.
Okay, I get what she's saying. I get it. She's putting history behind that word and like she's saying by definition white people didn't have a power over them, but you know the definition of racism is discriminating against someone based on their race. It's not liking someone based on their race. Now if you want to use that definition, white people have experienced racism. You know what I'm saying? It happens all the time. The girl right here in the green all the way to the right, she just said she was called a cracker. That's racism. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to go off her definition, white people have not had a power over them. You know what I'm saying? Telling them what to do and you know white people haven't had it like black people, simple as that. So I get it. I get where she's coming from, and I'm sorry for prejudging. I'm getting back into the Jubilee videos, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, not prejudge, but back into the video.
It's simple. If one person treats another person differently because of the color of their skin, to me that's racism. I will tell you that I was stopped by the police plenty of times when I was a young man, and I will also tell you that I then decided to spend 35 years as a policeman. I'll tell you that I stopped lots of kids coming home from school. Depending on who it was that I stopped, the first thing out of their mouth would be, you only stopped me because I'm black. And I would say, you're driving a sports car with a back window that's this big, I can't see who's driving, and I stopped you because you're doing 95 and a 55. I had no idea who I was pulling over until I stopped you. Now, if I treat you differently because you're black, then I'm a racist. But if I write you the same ticket that I was going to write you before I knew who was behind the wheel, I'm not.
So I'm glad you used that example, and I want to commend you for your service for our country. But I do want to say, because I've actually taught classes for the LAPD and for their cadets about these issues. But what I can say, which is a statistic, and which is also a fact, is that 60% of our prison population is
okay, wait, let's read this. 32% of the U.S. population is represented by African Americans and Hispanics, compared to 56% of the U.S. incarcerated population being represented by African Americans and Hispanics. African Americans are incarcerated at more than 5 times the rate of whites. 5 times. That's insane. That's NAACP.org though. We're not even gonna get into all that. Let's just go back into the video. You know what I'm saying? I just paused this to read it. You know what I'm saying, but back into the video.
African American.
Different issue.
Yes, but let me finish, please. Is African American males, right? When you go into a
He's
system,
a little defensive. Hold on, wait.
You are
what's up, white man?
kept in that system, and you're cycled through probation, and there is a systematic sequence of oppression. That's not happening to white males. So it's bigger than just the stop itself. It's the system.
Before she goes, let me speak on that. Bro, the prison system was made to keep black people down. Like literally, the United States is set up to where black people can't win. And it goes so much deeper than you think it does, bro. It goes so much deeper for real. Like the government, or I don't know what organization or party did this, but because I haven't really done my research on it, but I know this happened. I know it to be fact, bro. They implanted like drugs like crack and heroin and opioids in these lower class areas to keep these lower class areas, lower class, get these lower class people addicted to this drug so these richer people can make money off that shit. I don't know how they make money off of it. I have no clue, but I know it to be fact, and it's fucked up. Now, when you implant these drugs into these areas, these people are going to commit crimes. It's bound to happen. So when they commit a crime and then they're released after they serve their time for that crime, they're back into this area, right? They're back into this area with no money, nowhere to go, no help. What do you expect that person to do? They're already addicted to this drug, right? Already addicted to the drug. So, they're going to do whatever they need to do to get that drug, which means commit another crime, which means get caught, which means go back to jail. And it's a cycle, bro. And that shit is not coincidence. Just saying. But back into the video, man.
My name is Sierra. I'm an actor, a speaker, and a human rights activist. I'm very proud to be African American, to be Black. The challenges that come with being Black, also being a Black woman, are very real. I'm at a place in my life where I'm acknowledging these things are real, discrimination is real, the systematic oppression of Black people is very real, but I will succeed in spite of that.
The police force is foundationally racist.
I want to start off by saying I don't think that every cop out there today is racist.
Same.
I think there are a lot of them who are really doing good work. What I know from the establishment of the policing in the United States, that is directly from the slave catchers who were hired to catch runaway slaves and bring them back home.
Yeah, I agree that all cops aren't racist. I had plenty of interactions with police that were fine, but I was told by a former police officer who was, a cop who decided he didn't want to do that anymore, that, the training is pretty much specialized for only colored people, especially Black people, that if you're around them, they're the most dangerous, so you have to act in certain situations or react in certain situations,
I just really want to emphasize that I really think that there are some officers who are white that don't even believe that they're doing anything that may be racially motivated because they're simply doing what they were taught to do.
I come from a police family, and I'd like to add they do offer diversity trainings in the academy. So either it needs to be more extensive, or maybe we need to take it a step back and fix the selection process, because that process could be inherently racist. Hello, my name is Nia, and I am Black. I'm proud of my race because when I look back historically at what people of my heritage have gone through, and to see where we are now, it's remarkable, and it definitely pushes me to continue to be resilient and innovative as they were.
Okay.
Historically, people formed groups, villages. Some people were hunters, some people were farmers, and then you had whoever was going to protect the group. And over hundreds of years, thousands of years, whatever it is, that's how we wind up having cops, firemen, armies, and navies.
Come on, white man. You have to acknowledge that, these slave catchers were, integrated into the police. That's what the police, the police are. You feel me? Okay, look, even if that's not fact, you have to realize, maybe some of them trickled in there and used that job to continue what they were doing. You feel me? You have to acknowledge that. Come on now. But back into the video, though.
Community policing as a theory is a good idea. As a practice, it has some hiccups. When I show up at your house because you and your husband got into it and he beats you up and I'm friends with him. So do I want to take him to jail? He's my friend. Or I live in the same neighborhood and I go deal with some guy who's a really bad dude and he says, I know where you live, I know where your kids are. So to some degree, we have to have a little separation. This is going to get into a hot button topic, but I will tell you that, when I watched the horrible video of George Floyd, I will tell you that I can justify many of the things that happened, but I cannot justify 9 minutes on his neck or back. But what I can also tell you is I, as a policeman, and this is my personal opinion only too, the officer who was on him for 9 minutes, he probably spent too much time in the same neighborhood, dealing with the same problems over and over again that he became jaded.
Isn't that what being a police officer is?
It's a social service job.
Okay, yeah, I get that, but she can't throw that in there because niggas are human, bro. Niggas are human. You feel me? As a police officer, if you're in a neighborhood and there's a bunch of problematic people around and you're there for a long time trying to figure out what works and you find out what works, you continue to do what works. I get that. I get it. But there's the question of what you're doing that works. Is that right? And in George Floyd's case, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So the cop deserved what he got, bro. He shouldn't have done that. It was fucked up, unjustified, for real. But back into the video, man.
And you're assigned to that district of that community.
But I think you need to move around so that you get to see other things. You don't become that jaded.
The police, no matter what your race is, we have to be integrated all together with the community. And it doesn't have to be community policing, but we all have to understand each other more. I think cultural competency would be very helpful. Like, that's my issue. Whether or not the foundations of the police force was or still was racist, now we can change that, but it starts with cops. Like, at the end of the day, it's the bad police officers that are our issue. Not all police officers, but the bad police officers, we need to vet them out, and the good police officers, we need to, encourage them to be amongst the community.
Yes.
How do we vet them out?
By making the police unions accountable, because I feel like that demographic of officers, they're actually making things a lot worse for the other officers that are actually just trying to do their job. I think that we need to get some type of real accountability. That I don't think the police should be policing themselves. So when those cops that aren't upholding their oath, they can be properly removed instead of getting all of these passes.
The bad police officers, I hate the term like the bad apple. It's like, no, you're a faulty grenade. Like, you're ruining your whole department reputation. I feel like I was held up to higher standards working at Whole Foods sometimes.
Okay, look, before we get into that, they have to understand that, bro, being a police officer is a job, and you're gonna have people who are bad at the job. You know what I'm saying? You can't fault all of them for one person being bad at the job, for real. You can't do that. And usually when someone's bad at a job, it's kind of hard to tell them that they're bad because they think that they're doing the right thing type shit. So it's hard, you know what I'm saying? But they do need to do what she said before. They do need to do a better job at holding the police department accountable for that person's actions. You feel me? Pick your police officers better type shit, you know what I'm saying? Go through more extensive training. Simple as that. But back into the video, man.
3 chances out. But like, Derek had so many.
17 reports before George
17
Floyd.
reports. It's like, get him out of there. What are you guys doing?
Do you think police officers, and I genuinely am curious, do you think they should get paid more?
I think police officers should get paid more. I also think police officers should do less. Why do I get sent to all of the mental health cases? Why do I get sent to all of these things? Now, I'll tell you why I get sent to them, is because we'll stop sending the police there, and then something horrible and tragic is going to happen, and they're going to say, why didn't we have a cop there?
Do you think we need to have different divisions like mental health and just other, or maybe even specific police that are just for the schools? Like, do you think that that would help with a lot of the issues?
Okay, I already recorded this. I didn't press record on my camera, sorry. But look, this is what I said. That's not gonna happen because that's just more money that the government is gonna have to spend, and they're not gonna do that unless people come together and really press that issue. But I don't think it's ever been documented where a group came together and made the government spend money. Actually, it has been documented, but those were more like moral issues type shit. So I don't think it's gonna happen. They're gonna group all that shit into one and send a police officer out for fucking everything. In the government's eyes, all that needs to be separated is a fire, a death, and a crime. That's the only 3 things that need someone to go, you know what I mean? But in reality, there's more shit out there that needs more specialists to go out and handle, you feel me? But that's just my opinion. Back into the video.
No, we do have specialized police officers in certain things, but if we keep specializing and we get so compartmentalized that I can't go, I'm right across the street from you when you're screaming for help. Yeah, that's not what I do. Got to go find the guy that deals with screaming women or whatever it is.
But that's not.
My name is Jimmy.
Realistic though, gang. That's not realistic though, Jimmy.
I'm not going to tell you that there are no racists on the police department. I don't think blacks were historically treated fairly under the law. I think that we have made great progress, great strides.
Blacks
I think
is crazy.
We have to continue to get better.
Wild.
But I also think we probably see racism to this day in places where it maybe isn't.
I sometimes wish I was a different race.
Girl, if you don't sit your ass down, what you talking about?
I'd say not so much these days, but definitely 100% when I was a kid, I wish I was white. I grew up with my white mom. I didn't see my black side.
I did
of my
too, as I
family
said in the
after a
video
certain
before,
point.
but not
Grew up in
now.
a small town. I was often the only student of color, definitely the only black kid. And I had this kinky hair. I couldn't figure out how to work with it. And everybody also would call me an Oreo. It was always just being othered. And so being a kid, you know, you just want to fit in. And for me, I wanted to be white. I just wanted to look like my mom, wanted the nice straight hair. And I just wanted to feel like included.
Yeah,
It sounds like you still want
remember
that.
in
I
elementary
hope not,
school,
bro.
like I was thinking, no man is ever gonna like me because I freaking look like this. And I just remember hating my hair because
She looks
as soon as
very
puberty hit, it was just
unique.
it just blew up, and people kept on asking, do you even need a pillow to sleep at night? I'm like, I can't stand these questions. I can't do this. I'm Jordan, and I am biracial. I think being biracial is definitely like living in the in-between, because culturally, yes, I grew up white and I completely know that. Like I was raised by my white mother, but then there's also a part where race is perceived, and it's what people put on you and how they respond to you in your everyday life.
Okay. I just want to say, before we go any further, I've never seen anyone that looks like her ever in my life. That shit's crazy. Like, she has the facial features of a Caucasian person, but her skin color is darker, and she has the hairstyle of most, like, African-American women, like the braids type shit. Not saying that white women can't, or Caucasian women can't get that hairstyle, but she has the braids and shit. Like, that shit's cool as fuck. Like, those are the type of people in this world that I think just diversify everything, bro. It's beautiful, bro. It's beautiful. But back into the video, man.
It's so interesting because I grew up in predominantly non-Black communities, and for some reason still, like being the minority at home in the family as well as in school and in the world, I was always so proud to be Black. I actually really yearned to be around other Black people. So thankfully in college that was an experience where even though we made up a small community, I was still able to, okay, this is like people that look like me.
I was in the military for
That's
6
good.
years, and I was usually the only Jew in my battalion. And I think that isolation produced a sort of pride and understanding of who I am and where I come from. So
I have never wanted to be anything different than what I was, but that's because I really never thought about it. And to your all's point, maybe, I don't know, but maybe people treated you that way because there is this sense of wanting something that I haven't ever had before. I'd love to have a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? It's different than any other car I've ever had. It's different than what I grew up with.
I think personally,
We gonna get into what he's saying in a second, but white man digging himself a hole here, bro. Like, he just compared your race to a Lambert. Like, come on, bro. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's not the same. I'm gonna let him slide for now, but if he says like something towards the end of the video, I'm grilling his ass for real. I'm on his shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm joning. I'm on him, bro. Stop playing. For real. But back into the video.
personally for me, I mean, I was actually adopted by white parents in very diverse family. I think 6 out of the 8 of us are all adopted.
Joshua.
All different races. I kind of have my
Joshua.
own story apart from
Joey,
everyone
Quentin,
else. And the same for
Joshua.
everyone else that was adopted in my family. They have their own story. I always had pride in it, but at the same time, my parents are my parents no matter the color of their skin. It's the
Matt,
people who raised
Joshua?
me, and they raised me just to not look at it through the lens of race, and that's what I've always done. And I've never wanted to change my race at all either. I'm Joshua, and I'm Black. I've never experienced racism. I've experienced stuff from people from my own race. I grew up in a white family by white parents. I was constantly called whitewashed. It upset me, but I didn't let it get to me. Being Black in America, to me, is just being an American in America, just like any other person.
White privilege exists.
It does exist.
America was founded by white people, for white people at the time. All of the institutions were designed to benefit white people. So, I mean, of course, white privilege lingers into society today.
I feel like white man sitting there because he.
Where I would argue with you just a little bit is.
So why are you sitting
I
down?
think we throw out the term white privilege far too often for things that aren't necessarily white privilege.
Why are you bringing that up? Why are you bringing that up? Why is he bringing that up? He's trying to get shit off his chest here. Subtly though. I'm getting it a little bit from him. I'm getting it a little bit from him. I don't like it. I don't, but back into the video, man.
I've got to
Let's
agree
hear what he
with
has
you
to say.
completely on that one. I think there's generational white privilege for sure, but I think now it's almost used as a reason to not try as hard. If we stop doing that, just really like work for it and not use white privilege as an excuse, then we could really get somewhere as in the black community.
I would respectfully disagree. Like, all of that is true to an extent. Like, I graduated university during the pandemic, the height of it. I went abroad for university. I got 2 degrees. I graduated with honors. Learned to speak 2 languages. I should have been able to get a job right away, right? No. It took me 9 months before I was able to get a job. Had to go completely outside of my field. But then when I looked at all of my white colleagues who were in my program, all of them were hired immediately.
I need to introduce you to my daughter. She's white. Took her a long time.
And I'm not saying that. I'm saying
and
just
she didn't get her job in what her degree is in either.
I respect that, but my point is saying me comparing myself to the white students who were directly in my position, they're successful, I'm not.
This country was founded upon white
She's strong
people
for
coming
speaking up
and
to this
then
nigga, 'cause
putting
he-
in act Jim Crow and other laws
You know what I'm
saying
saying?
that if you are not white, you are genetically inferior. You are not even a person. And some of those laws are still, and those systems are still in place today. 2 things can be true. You can have had
No
a
cap.
very hard time. Privilege is not just limited to white people, but to say white privilege doesn't exist from a historical context, to me, is respectfully absurd.
Something that I learned about recently is the privilege that exists in the medical field, specifically relating to the birthing process in giving epidurals. There was a study that's recently, or was debunked, that said that Black people have a higher tolerance for pain, which then has been falsely used by people who help support births in being hesitant to provide the epidurals for Black women giving birth.
Really?
A lot of women die in childbirth. I don't know the exact statistics, so
3
I
times
can't.
more likely. Black
She's on her shit, but let's read it. Black women are 3 times more likely to die from a pregnancy-related cause than white women. Multiple factors contribute to these disparities, such as variation in quality healthcare, underlying chronic conditions, structural racism, and implicit bias. Yo, that's crazy. That's insane. But back into the video.
Black women are to die.
Thank you. The fact that I will be taken seriously, more seriously than a Black woman in my place if I should be giving birth at some point, I see that as just an absolute privilege. My name is Bryn and I just graduated and I'm currently gaining hours to becoming a licensed therapist. As a therapist in school, we're taught to approach things with what's called cultural humility. Cultural humility is being curious, and instead of trying to have all the answers, working collaboratively with the client to kind of understand where they're coming from.
I have been fetishized for my race.
The Jewish guy? Really? Y'all are freaky.
The standard one. Oh, you're pretty
Oh,
for a
nah.
Black girl. I'm like, that's not a compliment. That's so weird to say. And like one of the go-to
Black women are
pickup
beautiful.
lines for men, they're like, oh
They're
my
tripping.
God, what are you? I'm like, this is not cute. I'm tired of having this conversation. This is lame. Yes, I know I have green eyes, hazel eyes. Like, let's move on.
I think
I mean, I
Black
think they're
women
just
in
curious, though. They just
particular
wanna
are
know where
just
that
extremely
shit came from.
sexualized and fetishized. Every day I go out and making sure that my outfit is, okay, because I don't want to draw certain attention. The way I wear my hair, if it's in an afro, if it's in puffs, if it's in braids, I'm going to get treated differently. Yeah, every single day something happens.
So there's a form of positive anti-Semitism where Jews are perceived as like being put together, coming from money, being doctors, lawyers, and women are attracted to those sort of things. And then also too, like all Jewish men are circumcised. Some women have that preference. So I've definitely experienced it, but I feel like it's a sort of subtle, trivial thing. Like it never really bothered me, but it's it's occurred nonetheless.
Yeah, I've had experiences in high school, college. You know, people ask me to stop me, mainly women. Like, oh, are you Egyptian? Or are you black in this or black in that? There's always something, it's always black in something else. And I'll, you know, let them know what I am, and they'd be like, oh, that's exotic or something crazy. You know, my name is Dino, and I am biracial. I don't want people to think that I'm like split between being black or white. I acknowledge that I'm mixed and I'm biracial, but for the most part, growing up, I was always considered black. I consider myself black. My family did as well. So I don't think we should live in a colorblind society, but I also don't think we should stay stuck and feel like we can't move forward and still thrive and accomplish things because of our skin color and where we live in America.
I agree, type shit. He got a good head on his shoulders, for real.
I would just have a question for everyone who stepped forward. I'm just curious how that's like. What's it like?
Exhausting.
It sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I think Black women historically have a really interesting
Therapist.
relationship with desirability.
The therapist.
Culturally, it seems as we're not desired. And then when we are, we're being fetishized. So it's like, okay, we're usually not desired, but now we are. Am I supposed to lean into this fetishization?
I think just being a woman, you know, we deal with certain things every day. Specifically being a Black woman, being fetishized, it's interesting because if I, especially in my industry, because I'm there to work and be professional, I'm just super professional and I don't give any attention to that at all, that kind of energy, then I'm an angry Black woman. So I think that it's just really...
you can't win.
It does feel like that, so yeah, that you can't win sometimes.
Yeah, and there's also a flip side
That
to
sucks,
it.
bro.
Like for
Honestly.
me specifically, I'm light-skinned amongst majority dark-skinned people, and people will deem me or deem other light-skinned people as a certain way, as either weaker or less than, or just like, okay, you're lighter than, so we're going to be so pro-Black that we're never going to, consider you as one of us. You're just other.
Well, that
That's
like
fucked up.
touches just on beauty standards in the Black community, and that's colorism. Like I've even been told, you're beautiful, you're not Black.
Boom. Let's read this. Colorism, differential treatment based on the skin color, especially favoritism toward those with a lighter skin tone, and mistreatment or exclusion of those with a darker skin tone, typically among those of the same racial group or ethnicity. Okay, they got that shit from dictionary.com. That's great. That's wild. Well, okay, that colorism shit, bro, I'm not really too educated on it, so I really can't speak on it, but it's been thrown around very loosely and falsely, so I try to stay away from it. But this is the dictionary definition, so okay, that does happen. I'm not gonna cap, that does happen. A lot more than you think, and it's sad, to be honest. Happens a lot in the African-American community. It sucks, but let's get back into the video, man.
You know, it's just like these little things.
Or you must be mixed with something,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
My name's Christina, and I'm biracial. I have been fetishized for the color of my skin on both sides. Black men will be really into me because I'm light skinned, or other men who are not Black might be into me because I am that Black girl, but maybe I'm not too Black, and that for whatever reason is appealing. Being deemed as exotic or something other is just very problematic, and that plays into a lot of issues of colorism within the Black community at large.
We need reparations for the Black community.
Yeah, bro, I want my 30 acres and a mule.
I don't think
No
people
cap.
need like individualized like paychecks. Like I don't think that's gonna like
But
work.
we need something, bro.
But
Like,
I
come on,
think
bro.
pouring funds into communities who could really use it, building jobs there, more education there, like more opportunities would do so much. Like that's how I see it should be.
Yeah, they don't even have to do a lot, bro. Just like get a community center, like build a community center or donate to some charities or something. There's already civilians and regular people out here doing that for African American people, but if the government wrote something or did something to where it was like, okay, give something to these minorities to where it's like, okay, we're sorry. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just do something other than what you're doing. That's all we ask. Back into the video, man.
Anytime that Black communities in the US tried to, pull themselves up by the bootstraps, they were attacked. Like, I think it was in Tulsa, they bombed the city.
Okay, let's read this. The Black Wall Street Massacre took place on May 31st and June 1st in 1921 when mobs of white residents, some of whom were given weapons by city officials. What? Weapons by city officials? What? Attacked Black people, their homes, their businesses in the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Wow. Wikipedia, though. I don't trust Wikipedia. But if it happened, it happened. That's crazy. Back into the video, though, bro. Fuck.
Black Wall Street, it was completely destroyed. So again, something needs to be done.
When the Civil War ended, there was a representative from Ohio, I can't remember his name, but he was a radical Republican and advocated for the phrase 40 acres and a mule for every emancipated slave. So
Let's read this though. 40 acres and a mule was a part of the Special Field Orders, number 15, a wartime order proclamated by the Union General William, I don't know how to say his last name, or his middle name, Sherman, on January 16th, 1865 during the American Civil War, to allot land to some freed families in plots of land no longer than 40 acres. Okay. Yeah, I know about that. But let's see what he has to say about this. Back into the video.
there was supposed to be reparations, and there never was. And I think, especially as a Jewish person, I mean, Jews received reparations for the Holocaust and are still receiving them. And in my mind, there's no amount of money that will ever undo the wrong of the Holocaust. So that you could, all the money in the world will never make it right. But I think the idea and principle of reparations is good. Logistically, I don't know how it would happen.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say the reason I stayed back was because I wasn't entirely sure what was meant by reparations, but your example of the Holocaust, I would say that I agree.
Similar reason, when I think of reparations, I think of something similar to a stimulus check. My worry is with the lack of financial literacy, will we actually make strides? So I would love the idea of investing money into programs in underserved communities, something like that. But I do have a fear that even if we did have the money, without that generational knowledge of how to take care of our finances, that it would just deplete and defeat the purpose.
But even if that were to happen, though, I still think that that would still be the right step,
Yeah.
We'll give these people the funds or whatever. We'll give them our promise, and if they float or sink or whatever, that's on them. At least we as a country took the right step.
Yeah.
I'm all for money going to the community. I am for that because the communities right now are the way they are because of things in the past. But to give out checks to individual people, there's a difference between learning from the past and then still getting caught up in the past. I mean, if I had a time machine, I could go back in time and be like, hey, you never gave us the 40 acres and a mule. I would be all for that, and I would get on that for the people who were affected and actually went through slavery. But in today's age, no one's experienced it and gone through it. Yes, the communities are taking hit by that, but so I mean, I've never.
You don't think your ancestors experienced slavery?
I think they do, but I haven't. I've never been in it, so why should I get a check from somebody else who never put it? You should be going way back.
So what about the people who are the
But I mean, it's like
of the...
it's like giving. They're no longer alive, so it's like giving your reward that you fought and died for to your descendants, your grandchildren, your great great grandchildren, your great 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 grandchildren. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. Okay, well, we're not gonna give it to this person who died because they're dead. They can't do anything with it, or not dead, but passed away. Sorry, I don't like using the word dead, but passed away. So we're gonna give it to the person who's alive, who is related to that person. Y'all get what I'm saying? But back into the video, man. Let's finish this out.
The slave owners who are still reaping the financial benefits of your ancestors who slaved in those fields for literally generation after generation. You don't think that during that time, your great-grandfather could have been building a business that could be flourishing by now, and you would have a multi-million-dollar franchise as they do off the backs of others? You don't think that deserves some rectification for you in the present time?
To be honest, no, because again, it's something that happened in the past. Again, I haven't experienced it. I'm doing fine right now. I'm doing fine. And I'm not going to be all upset over somebody else's ancestors who I don't even know who enslaved my ancestors. I don't need it. I have no reason to have it.
So for me personally, I'm not upset about it, but I do feel my grandfather, on his side, they were the first family in the state of Texas to actually file for reparations.
Wow.
And for me, I'm succeeding in spite of that. But to this gentleman's point, when the government says, hey, we're gonna do a thing, obviously the government in itself saw the weight in the air of the wrong, just as the German government did. I think if I want to buy 90 gold chains, that's my business. I think it would be unfortunate, but I think that if I'm entitled to something, I think it should be in the same fashion that the people of Jewish descent got it. I think it should be in the same fashion that the people that are Japanese descent got it. So you might think it doesn't affect you, but overall, I think that we have been greatly impacted by slavery, even up to current. I just choose not to focus on it nonstop so it doesn't become something that holds me back. But I definitely think it's something that we're entitled to.
Thank you.
Great, guys.
Actually,
I agree with her. 100%.
it's nice.
Beautiful thing to watch all these people shake each other's hands. I fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all, man, that's the end of the video. I hope you watched it all the way through. If you did watch it all the way through, thank you. You know what I'm saying? You a real one. You are. Also, if you made it all the way through, I'm gonna need you to like the video and subscribe, man. Go ahead and subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you'll be notified every time I post a video. I post once a week. I'm here to stay. And I'm on this grind, you feel me? A link to this original video and a link to go subscribe to Jubilee will be in the description, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and sub to them, great channel. Look, man, I don't want to suck your heads off, so I'm gonna get y'all up out of here. But before I go, I do have a motto that I like to say around here, and here it goes. If you fuck with my vibe, like and subscribe. That's the motto around here, man. Get used to it. And also shout out to Kora Grey, thank you. That's all I got to fucking say, man.
Okay. Yeah.